Yo, what if I told you there's a forgotten four-door beast, rear-wheel drive, V8 powered, and rarer than a clean R34 Skyline that you could still find for under $10,000? Yeah, I'm talking about a sedan that straight up embarrasses cars twice its price, and no one sees it coming. This isn't your grandpa's Pontiac. This is the G8 Pontiac's final mic drop before GM pulled the plug. And today, we're diving deep into the sleeper that came out of nowhere and smacked the muscle car world in the face. Let's go! Before we talk performance, we need to understand why the Pontiac G8 even existed. In the late 2000s, Pontiac was on life support. Their lineup was stale, the market was shifting, and GM needed to do something bold. So they looked halfway around the world, to Australia. GM had a badass under their belt that Americans had never really seen. The Holden Commodore. Tough, rear-wheel drive, and built like it belonged in a Mad Max movie. So they slapped a Pontiac badge on it, gave it a dual-port grille, and unleashed it onto U.S. streets in 2008. This wasn't just a parts bin project. It was Pontiac saying, if we're going out swinging. At the base level, the G8 came with a 3.6-liter V6 pushing 256 horsepower. Not bad, but let's be real. This was just the appetizer. You got decent mileage, a decent stereo, and decent everything. Nothing groundbreaking, but it was enough to signal that Pontiac was trying to shift from boring rental fleet cars to something with a pulse. Still, nobody was writing love letters to the V6 G8. If anything, it was just the reason used G8 GTs are easier to find today. But once you got behind the wheel of the GT, everything changed. This is where things got serious. The G8 GT came equipped with a 6.0-liter V8, 361 horsepower, rear-wheel drive, and a 6-speed automatic that barked on the shifts. It did 0 to 60 in just over 5 seconds, and the quarter mile in the mid-13s. That's Mustang GT territory, but in a full-size sedan with 4 doors and a real back seat. And the crazy part? Nobody knew what it was. Pull up next to a BMW 540i or a Charger RT, and you'd see them lean forward, squinting to figure out what just gapped them. That's the magic of a true sleeper. Now, let's talk about the G8 GXP. This thing wasn't just Pontiac's last stand, it was their damn Excalibur. They dropped in the 6.2-liter LS3 straight from the Corvette, 415 horsepower, 0-60 in 4.5 seconds, quarter mile in 13 flat, at nearly 110 mph. Oh, and if you were one of the lucky few, you could get it with a 6-speed manual. Think about that, a manual, Corvette-powered, 4-door sleeper that looks like a grocery getter? Bro, this thing was the definition of don't judge a book by its cover. It had a Nürburgring-tuned suspension, Brembo brakes, tighter steering, and legit track chops. But only 1,329 GXPs were ever sold. That's rarer than most JDM legends. Here's the part nobody expected. The G8 could actually corner. This wasn't a boat like old American sedans. It shared its platform with the 5th-gen Camaro and the Holden Commodore, cars that were built with driving in mind. The FE3 suspension in the GXP made it tight, planted, and composed. You could slide the rear end out like a hooligan, or grip through corners like you were at Bathurst. And thanks to those front Brembos, the G8 stopped just as hard as it accelerated. We're talking 117 feet from 60 mph to 0, supercar territory for the time. From the outside, the G8 looked aggressive, but not flashy. It had wide hips, a dual-port grille, hood scoops, and quad exhaust, but nothing screamed, "Look at me!" And that was the whole point. This car didn't care about clout. It didn't have fake vents or LED light shows. It had confidence without the ego. That's rare. The GXP added subtle touches, a more aggressive front bumper, a real diffuser, and bigger wheels, but still kept it low-key. You could daily this car, drive it to work, and still destroy someone's ego on a Saturday night at the drag strip. Inside, the G8 was surprisingly put together for a Pontiac. It had sport seats, red gauge clusters, and some Aussie oddities, like window switches in the center console. The stereo? A Blaupunkt system that sounded okay, but was housed in a display shared with climate control. Weird, but it worked. And here's where it impressed. Safety. 6 airbags, front and rear curtain protection, stability control. It was a legit family-friendly performance sedan. You could put a baby seat in the back and still gap a 370Z on your lunch break. Pontiac wasn't done dreaming. They had wild plans. A G8 sport truck, basically a Holden Ute, and a sport wagon variant. Think El Camino 2.0 meets modern power. It would have been insane. A Corvette-powered pickup coupe? That's JDM-level madness. But the 2008 financial crisis killed all of it. GM went bankrupt. Pontiac was axed. And the G8's potential future? Gone before it had a chance to prove itself. Fast forward to 2014. GM tried again with the Chevy SS, a rebadged Commodore with the same LS3 V8, rear-wheel drive, and manual transmission option. But, like the G8, the SS was a stealth fighter in a world that only wanted crossovers. People slept on it. Sales were weak. And in 2017, it vanished too. Same story. Same tragedy. Another potential legend buried by bad timing. The Pontiac G8 was more than just a performance sedan. It was the last breath of American car culture before the era of soulless SUVs. It's a reminder that sometimes the best cars don't wear fancy badges. Sometimes they come from down under. Sometimes they sneak under the radar and become legends after they're gone. Today, you can still find a G8 GT or even a GXP if you hunt hard enough, and for around $10,000, nothing else delivers this much performance, rarity, and attitude. So, what do you think? Would you take a G8 GXP over a Charger Scat Pack? Or would you roll the dice on a BMW 550i? Let me know in the comments. I'm always down to hear what the real ones are rocking. And hey, if you're into underrated legends, sleeper sedans that punch way above their weight, or just love digging up forgotten fire from the past, smash that like, hit subscribe, and help me bring car culture back to life, one beast at a time. Until next time, drive safe, stay fast, and keep it JDM. Peace.